And just because you're a top producer, it doesn't mean you're a great coach. It's two separate things. As a matter of fact, some people shouldn't go into leadership. And if they are going into leadership, here's what hurt my heart, because I went through that. If they're going to go to a leadership, why should maybe so many people be hurt along the way? Families, people, because you're trying to get it right. You're trying to learn how to put the right systems and the process in place. Why should the journey of becoming a top producer as a salesperson maybe take longer than it should? How many clients and opportunities that I miss along the way that somebody else took? I want to shave those years off.
Okay, welcome back everybody to another episode of Vision Builders, the show about freedom, what it is, what it takes to create it, share it, and the age-old practice of leveraging other people's hindsight to bring clarity to our own developing stories. And today with me on the call, by the way, I'm your host, Chu Opara, and I'm really excited to bring to you a person that I admire. I think respect goes hand in hand with that. Who's got an incredible story, but what she's doing right now to change the way business leaders lead, and of course the communities that they serve, is incredible work. And I love that she's out there doing what she's doing. The founder, CEO of Infuse Theory. Just want you to welcome Maryam Habashi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome to Vision Builders. And like I said, it's a show about freedom. We're all the time trying to create it. And I think one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on the show is because the work that you do is literally shaping the experiences that innovators, problem solvers in the world are having so that they can create more freedom, more opportunities in their communities. So you're kind of the one sharpening the edge of the spear, so to speak, as it relates to the community. And for when I say the community, I'm talking about really globally. Honestly, the ramifications of a business leader leading big can go a long way. So before I get too long-winded gushing about how awesome I think the work you're doing is, I feel like it's important that we start kind of right at where did Infuse Theory come from? What does Infuse Theory mean?
It's amazing how all of our professional journey just continues to evolve. And one minute we think we're doing something for the rest of our life, and then the next thing you know, you're completely on a different path. And I think every single one of us as professionals go through that. Now, some people actually will take the risk and change that path. And some people might continue to wonder what it could have been, or might just, be uncomfortable with being comfortable. Mm-hmm. I'm someone who thought that I would be in the insurance and investment industry as a leader, as a producer, until I retire. That was the path I had taken starting at age 29. And circumstances led me to a point that I was privileged enough, not only from my internal grit, but also the people that believed in me and gave me that opportunity to fly. And I was able to reach more than the levels I ever expected. And what I mean by that is I started as a solo producer in the field. I started with making 300 calls a day. This is before the digital world, and knocking on doors until your knuckle hurt, sitting with all kinds of people, and driving all over the place, and eating and drinking while you're driving, and just running around without a chicken without a head. And then later on doing that and recruiting and developing and training and wearing all these different hats. And I always looked at, okay, what is the next level? And once that is achieved, what is that next level? And so my goal setting was always bite size, I guess, in order to ensure that I achieve it. And I never wanted those levels because I was a woman, or because, politically maybe it would have been right to have me on the team, because of the fact that I'm Persian, or I'm a female, or or whatnot. I wanted those levels once I had proven to myself first and others that I have surpassed that expectation. And so therefore, if you put me in that role, most likely I will thrive with some more direction and coaching, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't title driven, I was impact driven / earning that title. And impact driven was my focus, truly helping people. But here naturally I look at everything as a potential problem to be solved, or something that we're great or good. How can we make it great? Maybe someone's not looking for greatness, but that's just my heart. And people who work with me know that once I'm by your side, I am your number one fan. And I want to do whatever I can to help you achieve whatever those personal, professional, and financial goals are. So money was never my number one driver, but I was smart enough to put myself in roles where there is income potential, substantial income potential. If I'm going to put in 10, 12-hour days, if I'm going to lead with heart and energy from the time I wake up every morning, then there should be income potential. And this eventually, after 15 years, led to me being the first female regional director for a publicly driven company, Banker's Life, after 134 years. And I am so grateful to these men that believed in me and gave me that opportunity more than they'll ever know, which has shaped a lot of who I am today and what I bring to the platform with Infused Theory, which is a business coaching development platform. And how did that come about? It came about because once I had reached those levels, I said, now what's next? And what was next was no longer satisfying to me. Financially, oh yeah, it probably will be more than what I'm gonna make an Infused Theory right now. Financially, yes. But personally, for my soul, no. I wanted to learn more than the insurance industry. So I wanted to learn from others in different industries. And I again saw this, and I'm going with heart here, I saw this like global problem. And the global problem is, back when I'm 46, so back when I was in my 20s and my 30s, you didn't have people saying, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to open up my own company, I'm going to, everybody got a degree and was told what they were worth. And they were told what they were worth based on their age, based on their degree, based on their experience. And you just had to slowly, like a turtle, work your way up. And then there were these innovators that made it big, but very small percentage. Everyone fell into this factory-like professional journey. But today, most people are like, don't give me a base, put me on commission. Give me a ceilingless opportunity. I'm not coming to work at 7. I want to work whenever I work best. Maybe I'm a night owl. Maybe I'm a morning person. I want flexibility. I want, a ceilingless opportunity. And then education is being questioned, right? I mean, I'm a teacher. My master's is in education. And I'm a mother of 3. And education now is being questioned. Do we really need that degree? Is that degree really going to help me be successful? So with everything that's happening in today's world, which I think is only even going to get more amplified, people are jumping into 100% commission business, and they're extremely impatient, especially the younger generation. I want it now. I want to be a CEO now. Or people in the sales industry are finding all these different ways to sell a product, regardless of what product it is, what service it is. And it still is a fact that your manager or whoever gets promoted to leadership was your glorified agent, was your top producer. And just because you're a top producer, it doesn't mean you're a great coach. It's 2 separate things. As a matter of fact, some people shouldn't go into leadership. And if they are going into leadership, here's what hurt my heart, because I went through that. If they're going to go to a leadership, why should maybe so many people be hurt along the way? families, people, because you're trying to get it right. You're trying to learn how to put the right systems and the process in place. Why should the journey of becoming a top producer as a salesperson maybe take longer than it should? How many clients and opportunities that I miss along the way that somebody else took? I want to shave those years off. I want to help people master being the strongest they can be in sales or leadership, regardless of the level, because I've played every role from entry level to CEO president. And they can take what they like from what I coach, my coaching platform brings. They can also maybe learn what not to do. But I know that by having the right business development coach, especially at another problem, at a time where everyone and their mother is becoming a coach. They've never walked the walk. They've never talked the talk. They've never led big teams. They've never made consistently six-figure income. They went and got some certificate, and then now they want to impact lives. But they're such smooth talkers. They're so nice that people are putting money, burning money, and not getting the result that they want. I'm passionate about helping with all this, even knowing that I walked away from making more income than any woman actually I've met so far, most women and most men, and respect and impact of over 650 people in my region. Walking away from that to build something from scratch because I'm determined for what I call this to be my greater purpose and the people who I'm excited to have along the journey. That was a mouthful.
You said a ton right there. And I want the listeners who to know, you're listening to a sincere person, a person when she talks about caring about people, you're getting to see this moment right now. But I've spent not a small amount of time with Maryam, and in fact working on her platform. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And this idea of collapsing timeframes for people, so that they don't have to wound the people they care about while they're trying to figure it out, or they don't have to have some dream that they were promised, or some vision that they were sold take 6 years when it could happen in 6 months, right? Like, this idea is life-saving, right? Because I feel like everybody's kind of given an allotment, or everybody has at the outset of a dream or of a goal, an allotment of faith for it, or an allotment of hope for it. And when that hope gets extinguished because they didn't know what to do, that's something to grieve. And so for you to jump in, like, I don't think people know what type of money we're talking about when you talk about the insurance / financial services industry. And I'm not going to sit here and drop numbers right now, but when Maryam says she walked away from a lot of money, this is not hyperbole. Like, she walked away from it, and to be living in Southern California, where having an income with a lot of money is pretty useful considering the costs of living out there. And so one thing that I did want to touch on, though, you talked about defining several problems, but this idea of letting the problem that you saw, the big problem that you saw of people struggling to develop the systems, the processes, the mindset to actually win in business, there had to be an element of curiosity for you that pulled you into deciding, like, no, I want to focus on that. Like, that's the one thing. What is there something in your upbringing, in your childhood, your early adult development that helped you see that, do you think? Or it was just like one day you woke up and this, download from heaven, you just were like, oh, I'm going to help people in that way. Like, what leads a person like you, who had the opportunities that you have, to give that up because it's so important for you to kind of solve this problem of time, of failing unnecessarily?
What a great question. Hit home, made me reminisce about the past. I had a very tough childhood. And I had to make sure that my mom can lean on me at age 8, even younger, when she was having a rough time with her marriage back in Iran, especially during the Islamic regime when in 1983 we became overnight a Muslim country, when freedom was taken away. Having her dealing with her personal struggles and marital struggles, and having an amazing younger brother, even though I'm only 5 years older, I've always at that time felt like I need to shelter him and protect him. And if anything bad's gonna happen, let it happen to me. Let me be his shield. And at time, let me be my mom's shield. And I um, thrive in protecting people and helping people. I have very, very high expectations of myself. And so unfortunately, I have high expectations on others. And in my younger years, there was a lot of disappointment with that. And as a leader, I learned you cannot want success more for someone else than they want it for themselves. Yeah. So that's why I think I became a teacher. That's why I think, in every role that I played, I've been working since I was 15 and a half. I always strive to be in some leadership role so that I can teach someone how to do it and not make the mistakes I did to get there. That's just been who I've been since I was a kid. Mm. And then on top of that, very fearless, very courageous. Maybe it's because I've been through a lot. Maybe it's because that mindset that my mom always says, worry about something, cry about something, or worry about something that you cannot fix. If you can fix it, then don't have analysis paralysis. Don't overthink it and just go forward, and it will come and it will unfold. And that journey will lead you to other people and these links that eventually will become a chain. Mm-hmm. And in the insurance investment industry, 6 months in, I moved into entry-level management. At that time, I was 30.
Whoa.
So 6 months in, I went to entry-level management, and I started recruiting. Even before I became a teacher, I was a headhunter. What did that mean? People are out of jobs. People are saying, hey, I'm in a dead-end job, or I can't find something with my skill set. Help me, match me up with the best company or leader. I did that, and I was only 24 when I was with Robert Half. Mm-hmm. So I keep seeing that I keep coming back to roles where I get to help and impact people and say, you're not alone, I got you. And here's what's amazing. We all have our own fears and insecurities and doubts. When I have the ability to lead someone else, or to say, I got you, and be someone else's strength, in turn, it's giving me the strength I need to say, here's why I do what I do every day. And don't give up and keep pushing forward. Like, that energy is feeding me, my soul, to do what I can do every day. I think without that, I would be broken. And so insurance, everything I do in Infused Theory, I did in insurance. I developed salespeople and I developed leaders. Now I just get to do it for every industry.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So what you've done is, like, you've kind of found the unicorn in the forest in a way. What I mean by that is you have done a lot of things that exposed for you your deep thing, right? Like your why was an evident through line throughout your life. Unfortunately, most of us, we have to look through the rearview mirror to find it. But you had this opportunity as a teacher, even as a big sister and a daughter. Like, you've always wanted to protect people from the experiences that you yourself were fielding, right? And that is kind of an incredible thing. Like, and even in your teaching and in the work that you do, this idea of having a strong why, it's pretty foundational to everything else that is built on top of that is understand why you're doing what you're doing. Because and I think you probably could speak to that a little bit. It's like, why in your programming is that so critically one of the first two things that people do? Is that by design, or is that just one of the easier things to do? Like, help us with that.
You cannot help people find value in themselves if you don't see value within yourself.
Well, yeah.
In order to be able to put up with everyday challenges in business, it's like sometimes you take care of one thing and something else happens. It's like, what's next, right? We know that. You have to be strong. You can't be in sales or in a leadership role or be an entrepreneur and not have thick skin. If you're this sensitive individual, you're in the wrong business. So either you are naturally tough skin, so we got to tone it down a little bit, which I definitely need to tone it down at times, or you're too sensitive and you got to, I know, adapt, change it, right? And find the right profession for you. So your why has to be so strong that it allows you to not slow down, to not check out, to not get anxiety, insomnia, depression, obesity, or lose that self-worth. Because I think we're a leader no matter what role we're in. Even if you're just in a sales role, you're still a leader. You're leading that role. So that's, I think, putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on others is the only way you can sustain consistency, which is far better than moments of greatness.
Yeah. Well, that's how you build a life. You start to build some credibility with yourself, right? Like, and it does. It starts with knowing why. And in fact, I had been in business for a little while when I met you, and yet in the time that I spent working with you, I was able to clarify some things about why I do what I do in a way that were pretty important, right? In terms of defining not just why I do what I do, because I feel like I kind of knew that, but in putting it in a set of terms that allowed me to also then cast a vision for where we're going, which has completely changed the game in the way that people respond to me. Because now and I think it's not like I walk around telling people my why, or telling people, about what I dream about, pray about when I think of my kids or my wife, right? Like, that's not what I lead with. But having that clarified and so solid certainly creates the opportunity for me to cast a clearer vision out into the future. And I feel like I've often believed this, but now I have one more moment in time to say, well, that's clearly true. When I have more clarity with my why and what's important to me, then when I communicate my mission, it also comes out much more clearly. And I think for entrepreneurs, they need to catch that, right? Like, this idea of, if there's mud in your why, if there's haze in your reason, then no matter how good an idea you have, you're going to struggle to communicate. There's going to be mud in the communication, right, of your mission. And when you work as an entrepreneur, that's what you're doing, is you're sharing, you're communicating your solutions, the problems that you have to solve with the world. And for that reason, I feel like it's so important that people understand their why. Now, by the way, reading all the books, right? Reading all, the books I'm talking about, right? Like the Brian Tracy books, the Jim Collins books, the Napoleon Hill books. Yeah, all of the John Max. Oh gosh, yeah, like, there's a lot of those. There's something that is awesome about that, but I can, for one, can attest that reading books is better than not doing anything. But when it comes to putting systems in practice, having a human with a heartbeat and a mind who's been where you want to go and wants to show you how to get there, is of immense value. One of the things that I feel like you talked about a little bit in this idea of actually pairing up with people so that you can win. This is something it's been a theme throughout, right? Of everything that you've done. Like, if you don't know, somebody does, and shame on you if you're not going to connect yourself with somebody who can help you. And not, you've never actually said shame on you if about really anything that I can think of. If you have, you hadn't said it to me. So,
No,
but you know what I mean? Like, there is, at what point did you figure out that mentorship? I mean, you talk about it in a lot of your other interviews too, this idea of mentorship. Like, when did it occur to you that this is the one through line? This is the one thing that you can't go without if you want to get to another level. Was there a moment in time, or was it just kind of a gradual revelation for you?
My God, I love your questions. They're deep. I love it. I really do. And I'm like thinking about things I want to say as I'm listening to you. And then you give me this curveball question and I'm like, whoa. That's why my logo is a pair. My logo is a pair. It's because we're going to pair up for success.
Oh, wow.
And the pair is elevated because I got you, and I'm going to make sure, growth is a given. I'm going to make sure you have explosive growth.
Mm.
Here's what's going on. What happens is, the reason why 1099 contractors or people in sales and leadership, 80% of them actually are in, out, up, down, this bell-shaped curve.
Mm.
And time, time management in relation to productivity is huge. Time is passing. It's because their will and their skill are not aligned. And will is your motivation and your drive. And skill is the training and the development,
Mm-hmm.
and the system and the process. And when these are aligned, this is how you start to now grow and grow exponentially, hopefully quarter after quarter, month after month.
Mm-hmm.
So someone might know their why.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about why, but they might not know what to do with it. So knowing something is different than actually doing something about it. We've heard this cliche, action speaks louder than words, or what I like to say, that knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. So it's about knowing it. And then now that you know it, how do you use it? What are your inner strengths? How do you bring out your inner strengths? Because every single one of us do bring something unique to the table. And at the same token, what is hurting you? What should you watch out for? What could get in your way? Mm-hmm. And being aware of that, knowing how to control that before someone controls it for you.
Yeah.
So I am not your accountability coach. How many dials did you make? How many calls did you make? How many did you close? Not your babysitter. Mm-hmm. I want to teach people self-accountability, self-discipline, so that when they are held accountable, either by themselves or others, they're flying with colors, and they're the model of best practices. Well, let's talk about someone like you, right? You're not 20, you've been around the block, you've had different careers, awesome history with you.
All true.
You're a hardworking man, you're a father of two, a beautiful wife that I haven't met yet. And here you took the chance of working with me, and we've been working together for over 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. And you're a solid guy. You were self-disciplined, but working together, you saw how your people perceive things different than you, and what kind of systems and process they need individually in order to bring out the best in them. And what kind of I think, we talk about this, that accountability without a relationship is harassment. What kind of accountability and relationship can we create? Mm-hmm. So we're not too hard, we're not too soft, we're not leading by fear, and people want to follow this vision, and we're creating loyalty along the way, and the power of one, that together we are way more stronger than we are individually. Mm-hmm. And I feel that I am stronger with the people that I get to coach as a team than if I was this one woman band. So I want to put that out there, and maybe you can talk about, what this coaching has done for you, and what are you excited about within that journey. But before you answer that, I remember your question now. It was, what at what point did you believe that mentorship and coaching was important, and therefore now you making it an official business? Because from early on, personally, I've always tried to surround myself with people that were more solid and were more impactful, um, and did better than me. I was attracted to my husband at age 19 because he was so focused academically, and he was so focused as to what he wanted to do professionally. Where at that time in high school, I did play around. Okay. So that attracted to me, and it made me be a 4.0 college student. Or when I met his parents, and they were this amazing couple that have been married for over 50 years, and the way they communicated with each other and how healthy that was. I wanted that kind of marriage. So I learned, how can I be a better wife? Or when I learned things that my mother has done, or the things she did right. We talked about this on our last coaching session, right? Maya Angelou said, had I known better, I would do better. She did the best that she can. But I learned, how can I be the best mom? I'm always trying to position myself personally and professionally. Till this day, I have a coach. How can I be better? How can I be better? How can I improve? Because you are take your 5 closest friends, and you are the average of those people, or the people. So I don't believe in the blind leading the blind. You're working in a company, you're struggling, or you're new, and that's who you're hanging around with. So you're the average of the 5. Personally and professionally, what does that 5 look like? Sit down and think about that. And if you might be in the wrong room, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's fair. And it's something you just said too about the averages of the people that you're around. Like, whenever somebody says this, I want to make sure that we make the statement, like, this is not necessarily a call to jettison anyone that you don't, think is better than you, right? Because I think that we all have a role to play in helping someone else, right? I think what you're saying essentially is upgrading relationships. And one thing I will say about your coaching platform that I think is unique, or at least mostly unique, is that it's not just processes and systems. It's also that other element of mastermind, right? Because you've got the entrepreneurs from some disparate backgrounds who are leveraging essentially the same tools, and then coming back around and essentially testing the mettle of those tools in real time. And so one of the things that experience does for you is it gives you confidence about your beliefs, or it destroys your beliefs and makes you make some new ones.
Yeah.
So one of the beautiful things about the way you have your system set up is that in real time, I am, testing ideas or my own interpretations of like the work items that we've been given in the context of other people who are also in business. And they're giving, in fact, what I have this very fond memory of a time that I created something that you didn't necessarily ask us to create, but it was just something that came to me, and I shared it with the group, and the group lovingly, but also honestly were like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Or I like this part, but this thing could create a log jam and this, and for this reason. And there's people from different backgrounds. And I left there realizing that if this was in the wrong context, I might not have taken that so well. But in that context, I left feeling like I was 10 feet tall, because in the context of a mastermind, I'm like, well, I mean, real talk, these are people who are in some ways further down the road than I am, maybe some not so much, but like, we're all headed in the same direction. We're all looking at the same stuff.
Yeah.
There's a unity there in terms of process, but yet there is a diversity in experience. Like, when you kind of try to put your finger on the value of that, like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know how deep the rabbit hole of value goes, because only time will tell. But internally, I've been able to upgrade my associations in real time. Not just, I mean, you're amazing, but it's not just you, right? So
Honestly, whoever knows you knows you're so amazing. I mean, every week that I see you get on these calls, I get energy. And it's like, I know the program you're signed in for is like 4.5 months, but like, I don't want it to end, because I
well,
feel like, I love every single one of my students, and some of my clients are just, I think, make me a better person. And you're one of those for me. You teach me patience because I'm impatient, and you teach me to uh to see the beauty in like everything. And that's why, I want you by my side, and I think you bring out something that I don't have. You talk about disc. I'm your hardcore, DI, and uh was you have the S and the I, right? You have the
yeah,
power leading with the, and it's just,
S
it's
and D, but
empty.
yeah, yeah. What's
Oh,
interesting, I thank you for saying that. I think this, because this time is flying by, and I'm looking at the clock, going, "Oh man, oh," but because we're gonna have to end it pretty soon. But there is this DISC assessment that you do, and it is kind of answers the mandate to know thyself, right? But while getting to know yourself, understand how yourself can better connect with others. Um, and I've done a lot of, the Myers-Briggs test, or the Gallup poll, now discover your strengths test, and the, I can't remember the one, Enneagram, like all these different things. But the one you've chosen to do for this, and as business leaders who are dealing with people, connecting with people, is so comprehensive while still being simple, that in a matter of 5 minutes, you gave me this little diagram of like how you can determine in 10 minutes, like of interaction, what somebody's disc is likely, so you can connect better with them.
yeah.
Um, were you introduced to disc by one of your mentors, or did you just know, like, if we're going to work long term in a business, we have to get the connection piece solid? Because I don't know that the tool is the point. The fact that in your idea of leading leaders,
Mm.
you determined this is the first thing. We've got to help people connect better.
Hmm.
I think it was you who, who said, everybody communicates, but not everybody connects. And so if you
Right.
want to influence
I
people,
believe it's a title for one of John Maxwell's books.
it's very likely. It's also
Yeah.
possible that it's on my shelf and has been for 20 something years. Um,
So I think, you know this. The first 3 weeks of my coaching program is understanding your why, and then, okay, let's really talk about who are you. So I'm an international certified disc coach. So understanding who you are, and then understanding how everyone who's not like you, how are they? Like, if you know how someone is, then you'll be more patient as you're trying to connect with them,
mhm.
instead of finding fault in them and saying this person's a jerk or this person doesn't care. No, they're just wired that way, but they're still interested, or they still have a heart, or they're still passionate.
Mhm.
And it allows you to understand them better, and then speak to their language. We were raised as, treat people the way you want to be treated, which is the golden rule. And this is all about treat people the way they want to be treated. And that disconnect still takes place in business. This is me, this is who I am, and whoever doesn't get it, I don't want them as a client. But we're missing the boat. When we think this way, we're missing so many opportunities. So
Right.
it all goes back to being patient. It all goes back to analyzing. It all goes back to strategizing. You cannot sell or lead just one way. A strong leader um, creates content in their approach, in their messaging, to hit different personalities within that room to create this unified vision.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I knew DISC when I was younger, or I wish I had a coach like me right now. Right now, me would be coaching me when I was a hard-headed 20-year-old, 30-year-old. I wish. So this is wonderful for parents that want to invest in their kid who graduates from college and wants to go in the real world, or does not want to go to college and is going in the real world. It's also amazing for that person who's going into entry-level sales or leadership. It's also effective for someone who's been in it for decades and is stuck
Mm-hmm.
and wants to go from good to great, whether they're low producers or making 400,000 a year. One of the people in our team said this, that some of it is things I didn't know at all, and some of the coaching is things I knew, but I lost it along the way, or I didn't think deep enough about. So
Yeah.
again, we go back to realized/unrealized needs.
I used to have martial arts instructor, actually, my sensei. He used to say, I've been in this for so long, I've probably forgotten more than I've taught you, is what he said. And he used to say it as a joke, but as I got older, I remember thinking about that and considering that could be a good thing because it means that you're purging all the stuff that you don't need, or it could be a tragedy because there's all these things that could be serving you that you've just kind of let go because for whatever reason. And what I think one of the points, or one of the things that understanding your own personality type, or understanding how to contextualize your experience, right? So that you can always access those levers. This is what you're talking about, like knowing something but not being able to access the lever to use it. That's worse than not knowing, right? Like knowing I ought to be eating better, or I ought to be exercising. That's awful to be carrying that around and also not have the level of health that you want. And so I feel like it's really important to make sure that in our schedules or in our time that we're contextualizing our experiences and the things that we know, so that we can always access the things that serve us, always access the levers that we can pull. So man, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh, we don't have that much longer. And there's one thing I wanted to say to you.
Yeah, I have a call in 3 minutes.
I know. So we got to wrap this up. By the way, there's been so many moments where if you like this kind of content, I would encourage you to, by all means, go check out @Infuse Theory. Subscribe, leave a comment in the comments below, whether you're listening to this on podcasts, especially Apple, because it affects how many people get to reach this. And by the way, that's the point, is we want people to be touched, to learn from this material, from this interaction. Leave a comment below if you want to get in touch with one of us. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, share. That's all that we ask. This is I'm gonna keep delivering content for free on this platform or wherever you're listening to it, because I may not know you, but I love you and I want to see you win and I want to see you succeed. And so one thing I wanted to say to you, Maryam, I regret that we live so far away, because at some point in a coaching call, you mentioned that you're a good cook. And when I I'm a good cook too, by the way. This is not just a you thing, but when I was a kid,
therapy for me. I love it.
It is same. It's my dad was a professor. Whenever holidays would come around, my house would be full of all the foreign kids because they had nowhere to go because they had come over. So so there was this one student that he had, Iraj, who was a Persian guy, and he would come and like fill our kitchen with such amazing tastes and smells. And for him, there was just a joy to it, because like I think he missed the big family cooking. But I will tell you, I was maybe 9 the last time I saw Iraj, or 8, which means it's been that long since I've had home.
You gotta find him. You gotta find him.
We got to fix this at some point.
So before I go, because I don't want to keep this client waiting, but I want to say I continue to learn from you every day. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be a part of my world as my client, or now with what we're doing right now on this call, just to get everybody moving and shaking, especially 2021 is around the corner. The world's not stopping. We got to go forward. And COVID should not be the reason that people are struggling financially. If the right systems and process are in place, sometimes a little tweak in the target market, a little strategizing, you can actually be more successful than before, because now we're Zooming. You could still connect via Zoom, and we have more time on our hands, less driving, etc. But I offer, this, I offer a free strategy session for anyone who wants to book a call where I can learn about you and your business, and either just be friends and expand that network, or see what I can do to help you, get to that next level.
Yeah.
So you can either go on infusetheory.com, or free mini coaching on my YouTube channel under Infuse Theory as well. And of course, all over social media. And thank you so much. And with that said, I know we both got a busy day ahead. Thank you so much.
It's true. Thank you for taking the time. Everybody, build a vision, build a life. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.